You have $9 billion, that's $9,000 million missing in the last few years. It's alleged to be fraudulently stolen. They're sending money, the Somali community in Minnesota sending money, big money, overseas. They're contributing money, big money, to Democrat candidates and elected officials. The Democratic political machine in Minnesota has benefited from this criminal network of Somali immigrants who have systematically stolen billions of dollars of federal charitable money.
Hold on a second, did you catch that number? $9,000 million. That's $9 billion of taxpayer money in Minnesota that allegedly just vanished. What you're about to see is Representative Clay Higgins, Captain Clay himself, methodically tearing apart the Minnesota Democrat machine. And this isn't just about sloppy accounting. Higgins is laying out allegations of a full-scale criminal operation unfolding right under Governor Tim Walz's watch. We're talking about phantom childcare centers with no kids' funds allegedly being funneled overseas, and a political system that appears to retaliate against whistleblowers who tried to expose it. If you've ever wondered why certain politicians like Ilhan Omar are so fixated on flooding their districts with unvetted mass migration, this may shed some light. According to these allegations, it's not about building community. It's about transforming the state into a massive fraud pipeline, one that fuels political power at the expense of taxpayers.
Inside Minnesota, in specifically regards to the fraud that we are investigating and discussing today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we have a particular community, a Somali community in Minnesota, that has stunning percentages are participating in government programs where they're drawing a lot of money, big money. This has been discussed and revealed and reported and is factual. You have a tremendous amount of criminal fraud taking place that one of my colleagues, the gentleman from the other side of the aisle, mentioned transparency. I would argue that from a regular American's perspective, it's quite transparent that something criminal is going on when you have billions of dollars disappearing into child care centers with no children in them, and you have a tremendous transfer of wealth into a relatively small immigrant community. You have $9 billion, that's $9,000 million missing in the last few years. It's alleged to be fraudulently stolen. They're sending money, the Somali community in Minnesota sending money, big money, overseas. They're contributing money, big money, to Democrat candidates and elected officials. The Democratic political machine in Minnesota has benefited from this criminal network of Somali immigrants who have systematically stolen billions of dollars of federal charitable money, essentially. The good lady, my colleague, clarified this is money designed for poor folk that need a hand up. And we generally want that to happen in America in an effective manner. So this is the scenario that we are looking into today. Have I summed it up fairly well, Ms. Robbins?
Yes, sir. And I would just like to add...
Before you add, Mr. Hudson, is this an effective summary, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you, Ms. Rarick.
Yes.
Thank you. So from the perspective of members of the Fraud Investigative Committee of the Minnesota State Legislature, we have a large criminal network with high percentages of participation in that criminal network from the Somali community in Minnesota. That community has tremendous influence within the political arena, specifically within the Democrat political arena in Minnesota. The Democrat political machine has been covering for this criminal network, and here we go to Governor Walz's involvement here, which is shocking to me, quite frankly. because I've been friendly with Governor Walz for many years. I served with him here. But can you discuss for me the governor's administration's involvement in intimidation and oppression and retaliation against whistleblowers? Ms. Robbins, have you had conversations with whistleblowers who have been treated like that by the Walz administration?
Yes, I have.
And what can you tell us about that without naming the person or revealing stuff that's secret? Tell us how that retaliation would happen.
So it happens in a variety of ways. They are demoted or reassigned, or they are told that they could lose their job and then their house or their pension or their retirement benefits or not qualify for unemployment. So
that's very serious. That's very serious allegation. I would say that's criminal retaliation. Mr. Hudson and Ms. Rarick, have you seen similar?
I would defer to Representative Rourke.
Yes, so Representative Robbins and once in a while Representative Hudson have had multiple conversations with whistleblowers, and that is exactly what they said to us, especially in a face-to-face meeting in St. Paul. That is exactly
Unbelievable.
what they said.
Mr. Chairman, my time has expired, but this...
Wow. Just wow. You know, most committee hearings are painfully dull lawyers talking in circles, nothing really happening. But Clay Higgins doesn't do boring, he does interrogation. Let's break down what we just witnessed, because the implications here are genuinely alarming, not just for Minnesota, but for the entire country. Higgins didn't dance around the issue. He flat out described what he believes is a criminal network operating within Minnesota, and immediately you know the media will attack him for even saying it. But instead of focusing on labels, look at the facts he laid out. We're talking about staggering percentages of one immigrant community receiving government assistance. And this is exactly where the policies championed by politicians like Ilhan Omar collide with reality. When you combine mass migration without assimilation with limitless government welfare, you don't get compassion, you get chaos. Higgins makes it clear this isn't just about helping the poor. He calls it a massive transfer of wealth. Billions of dollars allegedly being siphoned off. And where does it go? According to Higgins, it's sent overseas and then cycles back to help fund Democrat political campaigns. Think about that for a moment. Minnesota Democrats, including Ilhan Omar, have pushed for years to bring in large numbers of Somali refugees. We were told it was about humanitarian values. But if Higgins is right, this looks far less like compassion and far more like a business model. Bring people in, attach them to government programs, siphon the money through fraud, and recycle it back into political power. A self-sustaining loop of corruption. And then there's the detail that really stops you cold: the childcare centers with no children. This is the feeding our future scandal Higgins is pointing to. Fake operations billing taxpayers for feeding thousands of kids who didn't exist. It sounds cartoonishly evil, yet it allegedly happened. You go to work, pay your taxes, and that money ends up at a fake business then sent overseas while those in power conveniently look the other way. But here's the most disturbing part. Higgins pivots to Governor Tim Walz and asks state legislators about retaliation against whistleblowers. And what happens? Representative Robbins confirms it. Whistleblowers, she says, are being demoted, fired, and even threatened with losing their pensions. That's the real scandal. Fraud is bad enough, but crushing the people who try to expose it is something else entirely. That's not how a government behaves. That's how a mob operates. If Governor Walz knew this was happening and his administration targeted those who tried to stop it, then this isn't just political failure. That's something that demands a full investigation. Clay Higgins is one of the few people in Washington willing to say the quiet part out loud. He's connecting the dots between mass migration, the welfare state, and a corrupt political machine. Minnesota should be a warning to the rest of America. If we don't take vetting seriously, if we keep pushing an open borders, open checkbook mentality, every state is headed down this road. Hats off to Representative Higgins for asking the questions no one else will. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Governor Walz was involved in the cover-up? And what do you make of that $9 billion figure?